all naturally aspirated. Maybe they like the slightly cooling air, maybe, I don't know. Hard to say. But it's Laurens Vanthoor who leads the race. He's absolutely determined to try and add this race to his incredible CV. A double champion in IMSA, of course, once in GTLM and once in GTD. The recently crowned World Endurance Champion, of course, winner at Bathurst, and Le Mans in the GTE class, at the Nürburgring, at Spa twice as well. But Daytona is the one that's eluded the highly experienced Belgian driver.
If you're just joining us with 20 and a half hours to go, I'm scanning the pit lane. I must set binoculars in. When I can see a pit there, I like to see what's going on. If you weren't with us earlier on, the first major retirement was that, certainly in the GTP category. And I've just done an 11-car rundown. What I didn't mention was the Lamborghini SC63. That car has been out of the pit lane and off the track for a couple of hours now. Some reports of overheating in that, and what I'm looking at now is the very sad sight of that pit box being broken down, with a very small amount of the race completed. It's their first time here at Daytona. I don't think they will have underestimated anything, because it's been run by Riley Technologies now, and that is a very sad thing to say. We wish them better luck when they come back at Sebring. Meantime, GT, and specifically in GTD Pro, BMW versus Aston Martin. That's a good thing to say. Through the infield hairpin, the international horseshoe, and that is Neil Verhagen versus Alex Riberas, battling for 7th and 8th position. But that is absolutely a battle that we'll see throughout this remaining 20 and a half hours, Peter. Seems that every single inch, every single position on the track is being very hard fought for at the moment. I suspect there's still an element of tyre saving going on with the restricted amount of tyres that they are allowed, but within that, it does seem like everybody wants to be as racy as possible.
It certainly seems that way, yes, and it's not a surprise to seeing it being very racy, particularly in GTD Pro, because they have 25 sets for race week, 25 sets of Michelin Pilot Sport Pro GT H1 tyres, to be very specific. The LMP2 class, they only have 23 sets for qualifying, and the race and GTP, they have 21 sets for the qualifying and the race. So GTP, they're a little bit tighter on tyres. They've got to make them work a little bit more. But GTD Pro, not quite as as tight on tyres, so they can afford to be a bit more aggressive. It's interesting. We've seen that the Aston Martins be reasonably quiet in practice in terms of pace, but they seem to be coming to the fore, particularly in actually in the GTD category. The 27 car leading the way for the heart of racing, with Casper Stevenson on board right now, and the Magnus car, the 44 Magnus car of John Potter, was running very strongly before they unfortunately got a drive-through penalty. It was running right up the front of the order, and for John Potter, as a bronze-graded driver in that car, he got a really big chunk of his minimum drive time done in the early part of the race, and that's really important to when in GTD, if you can get the bronze-grade driver time done early, you can then have your silver and gold graded, or even platinum, if you're lucky enough to have one of them in the car. They can then take the heavy lifting, particularly when we go to the sprint.
Number 5 trying to gain time at the moment and get up behind the number 7 Porsche Penske Motorsport 963, while we keep an eye on that. Let's get some perspective. Oh, BMW joining the party as well there. That'll be a 3-car battle for that podium position in 20 and a half hours time. I'll keep an eye on that while Ryan Marine continues to patrol the pit lane and bring us some more insight and atmosphere.
Chance to chat with Elton Julian, who is the team owner of Dragon Speed, back for another crack at this. Your team's won this race a couple of times in LMP2, but you're in GT at this. Your team's won this race a couple of times in LMP2, but you're in GTD Pro this time around. How different is that experience?
Experience-wise, I don't know that it's any different. It's racing. Obviously, there's some different strategies, different level of application now being in pro class as far as the efforts that Ferrari's putting behind what we're doing. And obviously us stepping up our program, and obviously everybody's talked about the alliance with Risi. Obviously is a strong combination between the two teams. So it's a step up from the whole operation to try to fight against these OEMs. But yeah.
Let's dive into that partnership with Risi that you alluded to. What do they bring to the table to help you guys at Dragon Speed?
Well, it's just like we've termed it. It's a technical alliance. You know, they have the most experience with the cars. We're new to the category with the car as well. I wasn't going to waste our time or our sponsors' money trying to find the space. So we found an opportunity where we could work together. I think it's for the benefit of everybody, and it's a nice project, and hopefully it's something we can do for a long time.
Doesn't hurt that they won this racing class last year, of course, bringing a lot of expertise, as you say. Now, you've raced at a really high level, LMP1, IndyCar, but how about GTD Pro? What is the level of challenge in this class relative to all the things the team has done before? What was it that attracted you to, first of all, Ferrari, and then after dipping your toes in the water in GTD Pro at Petit last year, what made you say, yes, this is what we need to do in 2025?
It's kind of twofold. Obviously, you're trying to always grow the team, broaden your horizons to what's possible for the operation. We did things very methodically. We switched from P2 over to GT mid-season. Obviously, it's not easy, but I needed to learn the formula a little bit to understand what was missing, and I think I've covered that hole.
Always great to catch up out, and good luck. Still 20 hours, 23 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's early days.
I think we should have there's a long way to go, early days drinking game as well, or a sponsor for it.
I've no doubt that there will be those sorts of contests going on. What was the word that you weren't allowed to say?
Well, I'm not going to say it, am I? Otherwise, I'm going to encourage people to drink.
Okay, I understand. You'll just have to write it down for me to see it. But
Aaron
what stood
just
out
said
for me there?
That's what Aaron's just said. Should take a shot every time somebody mentions a John, because we've had a John, and a Johnny.
That would have got messy quickly.
Yeah, that would have got very messy. Sorry, Elton Julian, go on.
One quote that really stood out there to me from Elton Julian, a great interview there from Ryan Marine in their CrowdStrike Pit Lane report. He said, it's the biggest program I've ever run. Yeah. This is an IndyCar team owner. Yeah. You know, this is a team owner that's won in the prototype category here on several occasions. So that says everything you need to know about how competitive GTD Pro is. But isn't it good that you don't have to be an absolute full works program? You can get a bit of support and come to the table. You know, you look at the Ford Performance program, you just look at the sheer number of Ford Performance jackets we've seen this week. That just gives you an idea of what the level of program is, because the more people you throw at it, the more serious the program is, pretty much. And you look at also what BMW are doing with 2 cars with Paul Miller Racing. Corvette, they're a huge part of North American sports car racing, have been for over 25 years. So for Dragon Speed to make that affiliation with Risi, with Ferrari, that's brilliant. Brilliant to see them, and good to see them doing well.
In GTD Pro, it's Sebastian Priaulx leading at the moment for Ford Multimatic. Dennis Olsen. Seems as though they dodged the bullet on that red light run, so somebody made the right representation. BMW versus Porsche coming off the high banks and down into the braking area for the Le Mans chicane. There's a real big dip there as you turn into the left-hand part of the first part of that chicane on the back straight. And the number 5 of Mustang sampling.
Yeah, Nico
Pino with Robin Freins all over the back of him.
Nico Pino is driving so well. This is his debut in a GTP car. and you would not know it.
I was just about to say that is not evident by the performance, is it?
Well, it hasn't been chased by Robin Freund. And when you listen to Vincent Voss from Team WRT, if he was asked once in an interview, put together your absolute dream team to go and win Le Mans in a prototype, and Robin Freund was the first name he mentioned of three names.
Yeah.
You know, Robin Freund is a seriously capable racing driver, and he is all over the back of Nico Pino. And Nico Pino, he's only 20 years old, and you would never have a clue the way that he's driving that Mustang sampling Porsche right now. I would think that not only Mustang sampling and Proton Competition, who run the car, are very pleased. I would think
you're saving yourself a load of money down the road, and you're saving yourself a load of grief. They're already indoctrinated into the brand, into the manufacturer, into the values of the cars that you produce. They're great at talking about that because they've been there for such a long time. And what you don't have to do then is try and go and poach somebody who's pretty good from another manufacturer and lay big money on the table. I think it's really sensible, and it gives lie to the fact that people still say to me, sports car racing, it's an old bloke sport, it's where you go when you stop racing. And that is complete and utter nonsense.
that's a very outdated view,
I'd
for
agree
sure.
with that, yes,
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned that Porsche's junior program. That's something that started about 25 years ago with the UPS junior team, which was run by a guy called Owen Hayes, who's now with the BMW team, with the RLL.
Brettel started that.
Uwe Brettel was involved with it too, yes, who then went on to become the president of Porsche Motorsport North America. And you look at, you know, the names in the cars, Mathieu Jaminet and Matt Campbell in the 6th car, they're both from that Porsche Junior setup. They came through the Carrera Cups, and he's proving themselves very well. Julian Andler, the same. He's in the number 5 Proton Competition car, proving himself incredibly well. Always quick every time he gets behind the wheels. So yeah, it's something that I think other manufacturers will do as well, and are continuing to do more as well and develop new talent.
Sí, ahí te veo. Ah, va Jorge. Mejor el sábado, ¿va? Ah, es en casa de Jorge. Mejor que la...
inside our company, inside of Ford Performance, but we work with the best racing teams and the best racing drivers to have success on the track. So just like we train engineers to come up through the ranks inside the company or inside a racing team, you do the same with drivers. And we're more committed than ever, given the ladder that we have with Mustang Cup, Mustang Challenge, Mustang GT4s, Mustang GT3s. And we want drivers coming up through those ranks, honing their skills, and ultimately getting up into the factory GT3s that we run here at 24 Hours at Daytona.
I'm gonna risk upsetting you. I don't think you'll get on the walkout, but I'll have to ask this question. I want to get it over and done with very quickly. John Toonan, president of IMSA today, was teasing us about the Papaya team and the Blue Oval team potentially coming into GTP. You represent one of those, I think one of the two that he was hinting at in GTP. My answer is every manufacturer is looking at GTP or Le Mans hypercar. It'd be daft if they weren't at the moment. But until there's something out there, I'd just prefer to revel in what we've got. You're the global director of Ford Performance hypercar, GTP. You tell me.
Well, it's absolutely a great question, and I would share in your answer, why wouldn't any manufacturer be looking at GTP? Honestly, motorsports is very strong across all the series. I think sports car racing, especially with what Jim France and John Noonan have created here in IMSA, their partnership with the ACO and the FIA and WEC, and convergence of the GT classes, and convergence or the ability to have an LMDH or an LMH competing in either IMSA or WEC. This is an incredible time for sports car racing. The number of manufacturers, there's 18 manufacturers in total here in IMSA for the weekend across the different series. But at that top level, the ability to go for an overall win at 24 hours of Daytona, at 12 hours of Sebring, at 24 hours of Le Mans, it's a pretty special time right now with the success of the LMDH and LMH formulas.
Yeah, and that has to be interesting and seductive to a manufacturer. Okay, let me give you another question. Thank you for that, and you'll understand why I asked you it. Please don't beat me with a stick on that, Mark. How far is Ford Performance looking ahead? We know nowadays for street cars, it's incredibly difficult for manufacturers to decide where they're going to be in 5, 8, 10 years' time. In the motor racing side of things, generally speaking, particularly in sports cars, we've had pretty good stability in the regulations, and that's a part of why things are where they are now. How far do you look down the road and say, right, if we are going to do something, it needs to be by big X on the calendar?
Yeah, I would say generically we look 5 years out in motorsports across the different series. Now that varies a little bit by series depending on what the rules, the regulations, what the investment is required to get into the different series. But typically what we review every quarter with our governance board for motorsports at Ford, we're looking 5 years ahead in all the places we race.
This year is a big year. Every year is a big year for Ford Performance. So you guys are popping up everywhere, clocking up the air miles. It's particularly big for Mustang Challenge because, as well as a great season, heading to some new places with IMSA, you're also going to Le Mans. Now, this is you. I know this was you, and there's a huge smile on Mark's face here. You wanted to do this. You said we're going to do it, and everybody went, okay, he's the boss, we better do it. It's happening. We're going to have 2 Mustang Challenge races that we'll cover on the World Feed and on RadioLeMans.com on the FM and around the world as well. One Friday, one on Saturday. The Saturday of the big race. How did all that come about, and why is it important for you to get the Mustang Challenge out of North America and in front of a new audience?
Yeah, we're a global car company. The Mustang is a global sports car, best-selling sports car in the world, and we are committed to racing Mustang at all different levels. Yes, here as a factory, but we think even more important than racing here as a factory is racing at the grassroots level to give our customers the opportunity to come and race in Mustang Challenge with a turnkey race car that we sell, the Mustang Dark Horse R. So we were delighted with the success that we had with Mustang Challenge here with IMSA in 2024 and to continue that in 2025, and we're committed long-term to do that. But we also want to extend that one make series to be global. So the first step for us is taking a herd of Mustangs to Le Mans to race in June this year. And there's so many people, all the Mustang Challenge drivers, as soon as they heard about it, they said, yes, please sign us up. We'll send our cars over for it. So we're building a lot of cars and looking forward to seeing that herd of Mustangs galloping down the Mulsanne Straight.
If you want to be part of the Ford experience, by the way, at Le Mans, it's FordLeMans2025.com. I've seen some renders of a hospitality unit which is available for anybody. You don't have to even be a Ford driver. I've seen the numbers alongside it, which looks particularly exciting and accessible. That's very Ford, of course it is. The everybody sports car, we used to say the working man sports car, but it's everybody's sports car. You can go to Le Mans with Ford, FordLeMans2025.com. You've got prime real estate, Mark. You've done well right on the end. Look, this isn't an ad, but I'm very excited about it, Mark, because I'm looking at it and it's very cost effective. Is what I'm going to say to you, sports car fans out there. Includes parking in the circuit and some cracking hospitality. We're going to pop down there and do a couple of shows from there as well. Moving away from that to some other bits and pieces, and I hope you don't mind, but as soon as you pop in, every time you pop in, I get questions for you on the social media. And a couple of people asking, and I'm off to Bathurst next weekend. Jesse Young is in Australia. Can you ask Mark about Mustang GT3s coming to Bathurst? There was a lot of Ford Performance people there last year. Yes, there were. I had a ride round the mountain in a dark horse. Absolutely right. Are you working on getting one to Australia and into that great race in the future? I believe it almost happened this year with a chassis number 34.
It was pretty close this year. Yeah, that is. We want to be racing Mustang GT3s around the world. Australia is an important market for us as a company. But Bathurst is such a special track. We love that our supercars race there, but we absolutely want a Mustang GT3 racing.
Limited team. Many of your drivers have been getting their Nordschleife permit in the way that the Nordschleife system works, in the way that they have to go and use pretty modest cars to get their permit, but a lot of them have got their permit now. My mum used to say, I'm not doing this for the good of my health. They're not doing it for the good of their health either. What's the plan there?
Well, with our partner HRT, as we've announced, we've got a great commitment with them, great partnership with them. They'll be racing in a lot of places, including the Nürburgring 24. It's going to be a serious effort with a good driver lineup, and we'll be fully competitive there. And that was on our list from the very beginning of the GT3 program. Of course, we knew we wanted to race here in IMSA and in WEC, but what the convergence to GT3 globally allows for races like the Bathurst 12 hours and the 24 hours at Nürburgring and many others, everything in SRO, just an absolute incredible opportunity with what sports car offers right now, and that's a big one on the list.
I'm very excited by that. And a lot of people, by the way, a big coup getting HRT on board. They've been involved with another manufacturer for about as long as I can remember. They're a really good set of people, and they, like you, don't do anything by halves. Corporate mindset, if you like, comes right from the very top.
Absolutely. So Ford is a racing company, back to sweepstakes and Henry Ford in 1901 when Henry won that race, forming the company in 1903. It's part of the fabric of the company is motorsports. We feel like it's our responsibility to use it in the right way. So yes, it absolutely matters or helps that Jim Farley and many others are racing fans or racers themselves. But we are always held accountable, especially from Jim, that we need to do it for the right reasons. We don't want to go racing just to go racing. We want to be very responsible in how we spend those corporate dollars to get maximum return as a business to that. So I'd say that it helps, but it doesn't mean it's a guarantee that any racing program is going to get approved, because it's certainly not that.
I do love the fact that the car guys and girls are at the head of car companies. That sounds stupid to say that, but there are some manufacturers who have some very good management at the top, but they are management. They're not necessarily emotionally car people. It would have been dead easy for you guys to say, right, we're heading to Formula One. That's great, which you are. That's great. DFE, lots to talk about. Oh, fantastic. Right, we're going to stop everything else. You haven't. Why is that important? Because